Hey, thanks so much, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hope you're having a good weekend. Mine's been pretty good. Tomorrow's Labor Day. Hopefully you get the day off of work tomorrow. That'll be nice, right? 3-day weekend. In the political world, though, more drama. Of course, right? Of course. Kamala Harris demands live microphones for the Harris and Trump presidential debate. So we have CNN and Politico reporting that Trump may back out of the September 10th debate like a big orange baby. The news appears to be over what's known as hot mics. If you don't know, hot mics are just microphones that are never turned off. They're never muted. The audio is on the entire time. So this debate, if Kamala, if they leave the mics live, you'll be able to hear everything Trump and Harris are saying for the entire time. That's all it is. So Trump's team said that they had agreed to a debate under the exact terms of the CNN debate with Trump and Biden. But meanwhile, the Harris campaign has raised over $500 million since it started. $541 million to be exact. Team Harris announced Sunday that it raked in $82 million during the week of the Democratic National Convention. And per her team, this hallmarks a record in any campaign in history for this period of time. On the other end of that, the Trump campaign said the Republican nominee added $139 million in July, bringing his war chest to $327 million as of August 1st. So as of right now, not only is Trump lagging in the money race, the polls aren't on his side either. Many polls show Harris ahead. One Fairleigh Dickinson University survey published on Friday, Harris had a 7-point lead over Trump. New York Times presidential election tracker shows that she's leading nationally with 49% to Trump's 46%. An Advocate, which polled between August 15th and the 23rd, shows Harris has a 5-point lead. Democratic pollsters are warning, though, that the party should be very wary. Remember, in 2016, there was this injected confidence that within the party that Hillary Clinton, of course, would beat Trump. Now we know who won that election. In Biden's 2020 poster told Politico about the curveballs each election cycle, summing up, quote, "Something's going to happen in 2024. You and I right now just don't know what that is." And yes, it's always important to remember that Biden was up 7 points over Trump nationally at various points. And then his high margin at the end, especially in the swing states, was very close. And you know, it's always important to remember that Biden was up 7 points over Trump nationally at various points throughout the campaign. And then his margin at the end, especially in the swing states, it was very close. So I just want to stress that I think it's very important to keep in mind that even though Kamala is up in the polls right now, you've got to remember Hillary was also up in the polls too, and she ended up losing. We cannot be overly confident about what we're seeing in the polls. You just can't. But I want to bring in right now, do we have her? We do have her. There she is. There she is. Hello. I see her. I'm waving at her on the screen right now. Our political commentator, her name is Brooke Redding. And Brooke, I just want to ask you, what is your take on this new debate news that's come out? Because it sounds to me, let me get this straight. So the protocols for the CNN debate, personally, I thought were great. Everybody I've spoken with thought it was a good debate. The candidates, weren't able to talk over each other or cut each other off because the mics were muted. And now you have Kamala Harris who's saying she doesn't want that. She wants the mics on so that they can cut each other off. And I wonder, is she hoping that Donald Trump talks over her or something like that because that turns people off? I think it should be the way it was last time because it was perfect. No? Do you not agree?
If the mics are off when one person's speaking, how can Kamala Harris get her signature line in "I'm speaking"? It's just ridiculous. It's really, I don't think, necessary to have both mics on. No one wants to watch a debate where they're talking over each other and you can't make out what they're saying. The whole point is they're giving their policy plans for the whole country for the highest office in the federal government. We kind of want to hear what they're saying. And so if this is, the end all be all for the Harris campaign, I can't imagine it is for this debate, that they're going to die on this hill of having the mics on. But if it is, that's a bit ridiculous. And so they're going to negotiate the terms of the debate. I think the CNN debate went very well. We covered it. And despite Biden not being able to string a sentence together very well, it was a well put on debate. The questions were fair. They allowed each guy to answer for their records. There were some questions specific to their personal records while in office. Maybe we'll expect to see that again. But I think the mics being off when the other guy was speaking was what made it such a success, because it could have devolved into chaos.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And just for full transparency and clarity here, I am 100% voting for Kamala Harris. There is no question about it. It'll be a cold day in hell before I ever consider voting for Trump. But here's my issue with what I'm hearing today in the news. So the problem when the mics are on and they're both trying to talk over each other, the moderators then have to get involved to cut one of them off. And then it seems like the moderators are intervening. And I get it that that's what their job is in the situation. But when the mics are off, it allows someone to make their statement. And then you get the rebuttal from the other person. And we've tested this, right? On CNN. We tested this, and it was a really good debate. And, unfortunately, it revealed that Joe Biden was not at all up to the task of running for president again. But, now we have Kamala. It's exactly as you said. It almost sounds like they're trying to artificially construct the I am speaking moment again. And if that's true, that is just totally ridiculous. I hope that they work this out and that they do agree to debate. Now, of course, there was also some reporting that Donald Trump doesn't want to do a debate with ABC because, it's an interview. It was an interview they did with Tom Cotton, I think, where Trump said that they seemed very biased and unfair. Again, I think CNN did a great job, and I also wouldn't be saying that if it weren't the case, because we criticize CNN all the time. But I think Bash and Tapper did a really good job, and I think they should do the debate with those two as moderators again. Now that it's a different candidate in the mix, that would be totally fine with me. Or one of them with Fox, do one with ABC and Fox, CNN. We have not had an opportunity ever for them to debate each other. It's a brand new candidate. So, let's have 2 or 3 debates again.
Yeah, I think they see Trump preparing with Tulsi Gabbard. Who knows if she's preparing the same attack line she had against Harris for Donald Trump, but maybe changed a little bit so he's not hitting her from the left. Although I don't think he really cares about the political spectrum in any meaningful way. He just wants to hit back at his opponent. But I do think that maybe it's a strategy for the Harris campaign when he starts talking about her record or framing it as, in some way untrue, which I wouldn't put it past him. He's done that before. They want to give her a chance to interrupt and just say, that's not true. And so letting him talk for a minute straight and having her own everything the Biden administration did and maybe misframing some of their policy decisions or the impact of, their tax plan, for example. They don't want him to be able to explain something that's not true. There were a lot of lies he told in the first debate. And I can see a world where they want her to be able to say that's not true while he's saying it. So there's not these clips of him making these points in the debate. And then her speaking time is just point for point how what he's saying is not true. But it seems like Trump's not going to agree to that. So she's going to just have to practice that. She has $541 million. She can afford to spend some time in debate prep and pay some high-powered surrogates to go around on the trail for her, pay influencers to make the case on social media, which is something that I think is going to be a bigger part of this election. So many people don't answer the door when it's not. You got to meet people where they're at. People are online. I think this is going to be an election that's won in part based on the media they create in-house in the campaigns. And so interested to see how they'll spend their money. But debate prep is no doubt going to have to be a big part of it.
Yeah, and when Trump says things that Harris thinks are inaccurate or they're untrue, lies, whatever, then during her time to speak, she can explain why those things are not true. And Donald Trump also gets to do the same thing. I mean, if the mics are on, then Trump can interrupt her, which I think sounds like that's almost what she wants. You could have constructive debates under the circumstances with the mics off, and they've taken place before. When you and I argue, nobody mutes the other person's mic when the other person's speaking. And I think you and I have more respect for each other than Harris and Trump do. But you can have a debate under those circumstances. We just happen to have one that went pretty well with the muted microphones. I think it's really important. Kamala needs to be able to keep her thoughts straight and explain why she thinks what Trump is saying is wrong. And I don't know if this is like some lack of confidence that she's projecting in her own debatability. Because while she did do a very good job speaking, obviously at the convention, the concern that Democrats have with her is when she has to think on the spot. Whenever she's not just reading a prepared remarks, she has to think on her feet and take answers and questions and like even slightly hostile questions from the media. Now, don't get me wrong, she doesn't sound like Joe Biden sounded. But she does start saying those very vague circular type things about like the passage of time, the changing of change and things like that. I guess we'll just have to see if any of that emerges. But I really do hope that they work something out because it would be certainly to America's detriment not to have any further debates. There has never been a debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, one of which will be the next president of the United States. We have to have a debate.